So with our handsome Mr. Z, we were going to warm up a little bit with some find it's. Ready? Find it. And then work a little bit with that name recognition. Zeus. Yes. Nice job. So I did plop out a few toys as well because I wanted to practice a little bit with some toy exchange while also working on a little bit of the take it and drop it potentially. Yes. So remember that in the beginning, if your babes don't quite know how to relinquish an item, it can be really beneficial to do a lovely find it with several snacks tossed. Get your puppies in the habit of being able to move away from something they're having a play moment with or engagement with. Because if your babes don't feel comfortable leaving an item that they are allowed to play with, they're not going to feel comfortable leaving something that maybe was not meant to be for them. So remember that if your babes can barely let go of things they're allowed to play with, how are they going to relinquish something that could be dangerous or off limits for them? So right now we're just warming up with some of these lovely find it's. He of course just stepped on one. He found it though. Good job. So ready? Zeus. Yes. So right now we're just warming up with some lovely name recognition, letting him kind of go explore the environment and then bounce back from it. I find it's a great way to add extra, movement and some energy expending, but not to the extent where, since he does have, again, a puppy body, we don't want to overdo it. And every once in a while, there might be some loud noises. My neighbors are moving some equipment around. Find it. So throughout it, you may hear some noises. Yes, Ebba? I think they're supposed to be, sorry, Ebba's asking me a question. My little one is here. She normally does come on Tuesdays and Thursdays to help out. She's 4, but right now she was playing with some of her toys. I think there's supposed to be 2 babies and 1 mommy. Okay, so 3 total. She has a little veterinarian set, and there's some, I think, guinea pigs, and she was wondering if she had all of the guinea pig babies. So sorry about the distraction, bound to happen. Yes. So obviously, just like in the real world, there's moments where things can get interrupted, but you can kind of go right ahead and work right into your previous skill set if able. Zeus. Yes, nice job. So with Mr. Z, I know he's not so interested in the toys right now because we're more interested in the food. Ready? Find it. So if he's not as toy driven right now, we might build into it in just a moment. Yes. So you'll see that sometimes I don't always ask for a skill. So like I didn't get the chance to say his name or work the recall. But when he does come into my space, I know we've discussed this, feeding for the puppy as they reorient back to you is really crucial because it's the beginning stages of loose leash walking, also your recall behaviors, and many other helpful skill sets. Zeus. Yes. So, but I'm going to also typically throughout his practice feed him for even just, that's a lovely stretch, sir. That's very nice. So I'm going to sometimes just capture behavior versus asking for it. So if it's always you just taking a moment to do training, then sadly there's going to be a lot of moments where you could have been feeding or praising or reinforcing behavior throughout the day. So I do highly recommend for my students have treat stations where you could, for example, have a couple Tupperware containers or have some Ziploc bags and have them, of course, out of range for your puppies or your dogs. But then when, let's say there's a moment your puppy's doing an amazing job with something, as opposed to missing out on that moment where you could reinforce it, you would then have some food or snacks available to keep reinforcing the behaviors you'd like to have happen again. Because again, things that get reinforced tend to be repeated. So if there's things you're not loving, there could be too many windows throughout your day where your puppy is maybe mastering skills you're not a huge fan of. So remember, a lot of training also comes down to management. So if you're finding that your puppy is able to constantly swipe your slippers or chase the cat, these would be moments where the more they're working something, even if you're getting agitated, will still equal fun from the puppy's perspective. So I would highly recommend, just like a small human child, if there were small choking hazards, and let's say I had, when my littler one was even younger, if I were to leave out marbles and say, please don't put them in your mouth, mommy's going to go hop in the shower, that would be a terrible moment on my parenting to leave a small 2-year-old, for example, alone with marbles. If she were to go ahead and ingest one and it becomes a choking hazard, that's not on her, that would be on me for my responsibility. So remember, think about your puppies as, again, almost 2 to 3 year old human children. They have very similar capabilities. The problem is, for puppies, they do explore their world through their mouth, and a lot of times prevention is better than trying to scold. Because if, for example, he gets in the habit of grabbing something he's not supposed to, and then it might turn into the keep away game, he's just going and grabbing a drink, then the problem there is you might be reinforcing by mistake, chasing your puppy around with an item they shouldn't have. You could also, as I mentioned prior, create gulping behaviors where your puppy will go and try to swallow something whole because you've always been the end of fun by taking things away. And it can also, of course, increase or create resource guarding in the first place. Nice. So we're going to see if we can do a little bit of play. So with Mr. Handsome over here, I normally just go ahead, try to have the toy come alive. He does enjoy when it starts to wiggle. Like most dogs, their typical prey drive gets invigorated by movement, which is why some dogs struggle with moving vehicles, moving other animals or small critters, but also sometimes it could be as simple as a jogger or a bicycle. So make sure that throughout your practice with him, it's not always just your basic obedience skills like sits and downs and recalls, but also life experiences where he can feel comfortable and relaxed while the world passes him by. So some of my favorites, nice job, sir, is to go ahead and go to an environment where you can hang out and you can watch the world go by. A lot of times people think that socialization or habituation to a human environment or human setup, it involves having your puppy be intimate with everything. What can happen there is either we can overstimulate some of the puppies, we can flood them, which means that we're setting them up for an environment or a setup that's way past their comfort range. And now the puppy is feeling overwhelmed, but there is no escape. So when your puppy is practicing certain life skills, we want to make sure that the setups are successful for the puppy within their comfort range and their understanding and abilities. Nice job, sir. So as we're playing with one toy, I want to get him in the habit of thinking that grabbing for a toy can also either be relinquished, nice, by going and reinforcing the let go. Even if in the beginning I didn't say drop it, give, or out, he is still practicing seeing the snack come out in the beginning and open his mouth and then be fed for relinquishing the original item. Nice job, sir. As he's playing, you could have, let's say, for example, 2 toys. So let's say he's playing with this one, and now you'd like him to relinquish that one. I'm going to hold it limp, but now this toy is going to come alive, and I'm going to start to make the other toy lose value so he can go for the second toy. Oh, hello, Ebba. So, oh, okay, 1 second. My little one has a little bit of a runny nose, so we're going to go ahead and remedy that problem. Zeus is like, let's go wrestle. So if Mr. Z is very interested in the little one, can you sneak back over, Ebba? We'll do proper hellos in just a second. I know I'm coming. Just sit right there for 1 sec. So I'm just going to do a little find it. So I'm going to help Ebba real quick with her nose, and then we're going to do a few more fun things with Mr. Z in just a second.